What's up, family, and welcome back to the Driven by Design podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Perez-Miranda, and I'm lost for words. I don't know how to properly introduce these people, and people that I love dearly, and they're so wise. And so, Bean family, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Oh,
We're so glad to be here, man. Yeah,
Our pleasure.
yeah.
dude,
Love you. You're an awesome dude, and so it's our pleasure to be here with you.
look who's talking. Come on. No, but so as you can see by the title, today's episode is the marriage conversation. And so I think it's pretty obvious these two are married. And so I think that in the, hey, I don't have one actually. So if you guys know somebody, that's,
Yeah.
no, but, and so, in the drafting of this episode and, I thought of you two to have to talk about this topic just because, when I think of a godly couple and people who are so strong in their faith and are walking it out and have gone through turmoil as well, I thought of you guys. And so I've had lots of conversations with people about marriage and relationships, and honestly, this podcast is for me. I'm just recording it because I have all these questions and topics that we're going to talk about. Are questions that I have, so I can further prepare myself to be married. But if you guys could just kind of share your testimony, briefly, and tell us, like, who are you guys as a couple, and just how strong you guys in your faith.
So our personal testimonies, kind of.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go first?
And as together as a couple as well, like you guys, the journey that you guys have gone through.
All right. Well, mine alone could take an hour, so I'll make it I'll give you the 90 seconds. So I was born at a young age.
Thank you. Yep.
I was born to a hippie mom and a dad, and they got divorced when I was 2, and so my hippie mom and I kind of set off on these wild adventures, and we moved all around, and I ended up living in 25 different cities before I was 21. I went to 6 different high schools because I failed 11th grade. That's why I would have been 5, but 6. And I had an incredible, crazy, charismatic experience with God when I was 9 at a Christian camp. After we were living on a hippie commune, my mom got saved. She took me to a Christian camp. I had this incredible experience with God, and then no one kind of poured into me. No one discipled me, and so I ran from it. And in my teenage years, I got very rebellious and drinking and drugs and all that. And then finally, at the age of 20, I was coming down from an acid trip on the beach, and I just threw my hands in the air, and I was like, God, you win. You got me. Put the handcuffs on me and take me away. Like, I surrender. I'm done. I'm done running. And so, yeah, I surrendered my life to the Lord. And then, short time later, I walked into a record store in Coral Springs, Florida, and met her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the rest is history, as they say.
That's right. And so I'm the opposite of him. I don't ever remember not being a Christian.
Yeah.
I grew up in a Christian home. My parents also separated when I was 2 years old, and my dad would go on to be married 9 times. And so growing up, my mom was a godly woman, and so from a very young age. And then as a teenager, I made it my own,
Yeah.
And then I met this guy when I was 17 years old, and
then we started dating when she was 18.
Yeah, we were friends first, which is.
Oh, no, wait, how old were you today when you walked into the record store?
21.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so when she was 18, we started dating. I was 21, she was 18. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and we were friends.
Yeah.
And then.
We were friends for 6 months before we started dating.
Yeah, friends.
Yeah.
Friends.
Yeah.
Good friends. So if there was, because I'm gonna keep it real. This is a great question. Okay, I came up with this. I don't know where it came from, but I came up with it. So, if you guys could describe your marriage in a song, what would that song be?
For me, I would say, you might not know the song, but it's a song "You're My Best Friend" by. Because that's truly from the get-go. Best friends from the time I was 17 until now I'm 54.
Yeah.
He's my best friend. And that's
Yeah.
what most of marriage is made up of, is being best
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
So, that would be mine.
For me, I love this song. It's "I'm Gonna Keep on Loving You" from REO Speedwagon. The only part of the song I don't relate to, it says, "I don't want to sleep, I don't want to eat. I just want to keep on loving you." I want to sleep and I want to eat, but I do want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Keep sleeping, keep eating, love her, but
Yeah.
That's right. You can have it all.
Yeah. But so let's jump right in, because this conversation is gonna be a condensed one, because we could really be talking about the whole thing of marriage for hours, days. This could be a whole series, right? But I have my own thoughts on this. But can you ever be fully prepared or ready for marriage?
No.
Yeah.
I would say you can't be fully prepared because you've never done it before and you don't know what the other person's like, but you can be more prepared. Like, you know, we do premarital counseling for couples, and we had one couple come to us and say they want to do pre-engagement counseling, which I had never even heard of. But so they're going to be more prepared, but I wouldn't say fully prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you think you know each other, but until you start living together and doing life together every single day, surprises. Oh, I didn't know you snored, or
Right.
I didn't know you, whatever. Picked your teeth with a tooth, I don't know, whatever. Little things.
That's you.
Yeah. I mean, there's always gonna be little surprises,
Yeah.
some good, some bad, and so and every marriage is different. So you can't be like, oh, well, I saw my parents' marriage, or I saw my friend's marriage, and so now I know what marriage is. Every marriage is different because people are different, and so it's always going to be unexpected.
Most definitely. I'm over here just like, can I really share my own space for the rest of my life with someone? Like, I'm serious. Like,
Right.
I don't know. Like, that's a crazy idea. I think I'll get annoyed in about a month. Like,
Well, I'm a introvert. I refresh by being alone. I need my alone time, but I totally adjust. I love it. I mean, we're best friends, and I sometimes feel like when she's with me, I'm still. I mean, it's in a good way. I'm still alone.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
That's how one we are.
Yeah.
Like when I'm with him, that's sometimes my alone time. I also have my own alone time, but when you're married to someone in that way, it's like,
you can sit in the same room and not say a word, and just kind of, she's reading a book, I'm doing whatever, and you're alone.
Yeah.
You feel alone in a good way, but you're with each other. I don't know.
But Caleb, I understand what you're saying, because I remember I was an only child, and so I was used to a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I remember, like it was maybe 2 or 3 days into marriage, and I remember being in the kitchen, and I said, "Oh my gosh, he's never going home." like he's never going. You know, we're gonna be here together.
He's never leaving.
24/7.
Yeah.
You know. So,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Like, I can't. I just don't understand. I walk into my parents' room, and I'm just like, no, like I don't like I can't, and I'm not gonna have to. So hopefully she's gonna be a very fantastic person, because holy, but it's interesting, Mr. David, that you said like all these things arise, like they can be issues, but like surprises, right? And those surprises can be really difficult to manage. Whether it's something as simple as snoring, which Mr. David, I feel like you low-key snitched on yourself. I don't know. I mean, or bigger things like character flaws, right? And so a lot of people, I think it's the general consensus is that marriage is hard, and I think from my perspective, from my parents, I firmly believe that my parents have a wonderful marriage with their own issues, but they have set a really high bar and a standard, and I hope to have something like that when I'm married. But still, I know that they have their struggles, right? And so when people say marriage is hard, like, what does that actually mean? Like what about marriage is the hard part?
Well, it's two imperfect, selfish people living together 24/7, and so what marriage is like. It's like college or school for your soul. It's like sharpens all the things in you that need to be sharpened and fixes all the things that need to be fixed, like if you let it. And so you realize, man, like I have a lot of work to do in myself, and if you let the other person like in and be honest, and you accept the honesty and all that, you can learn a lot from each other. And but it's painful sometimes because she'll point out things that I need to change, I'll point out things she needs to change, and no one likes to, have their flaws pointed out, but you had to
Yeah.
have work together to build something beautiful, a family, and that involves a lot of hard work, and you realize, oh my gosh, I never realized how selfish I was. I never realized like it's
Yeah.
a lot of sacrifice, but it's totally worth it. But
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, so like you said, marriage is a lot of forgiving,
mm-hmm.
a lot of patience, a
Mhm.
lot of selflessness, and that doesn't come naturally to us,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
In the flesh. And so that makes it hard, but like you said, refining. Like if you
Mhm.
let it, it'll just refine you, and it can be a beautiful thing.
yeah,
Beautiful and
Yeah.
difficult.
yeah, and then there's
Yeah.
always the financial. When you're young and single, you've got money to burn, you can do whatever. When you're married, you've got to like your money becomes a big issue, and then children can be a stress on the marriage sometimes. And so there's outside forces, bills, money, things that you never had before that kind of like are a stress, and you need to learn how to work together as a team to handle these things. And so it's just it's a learning process. But if you're humble and you submit to the Lord, it can be a lot easier.
Yeah. Like difficult and beautiful
Yeah.
at the same time.
Of course. But I guess a lot of things in life, right?
That's right.
Difficult and beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of these, a lot of our character development and our walk with the Lord before marriage, I think, like before we even meet this person, like that's almost part of the foundation. It's like, who are you going into the marriage, right? And obviously we're all gonna have things that we need to fix or just surrender and give to the Lord, right? But then like this process before marriage, right? I think this is a this is definitely something I want to talk to you guys about. And so it's like, I know there are definitely people out here who are feeling a little hopeless, okay? Because you guys are married, so you guys don't have to worry about this. But just keeping it real, the dating scene these days is awful, okay? Like, oh my gosh, it's bad. Um, and so, I do understand like the hopelessness that some people can feel of just like, yo, is there anybody out here? Like, has the Lord, like, is there someone out here that I can spend the rest of my life with? And so, to the people who are feeling this, is like I don't think that there's anybody out here for me. What can you say to those people?
Man, like I can't promise you, anything. I can't promise you God's gonna definitely provide you a spouse. It's not mine to say, but in the meantime, it's don't give up hope, and just work on yourself and prepare yourself. Like prepare yourself financially, emotionally, get yourself in order, and so that when you do find that person, you're ready. But yeah, just try not to lose heart. The Lord is good. He knows what we need, and you're learning patience, which is hard.
And I think part of it could be, your spouse who you don't know yet, the Lord might be working in them in something that needs to take a little more time. You might feel like you're ready, but who knows what the Lord's doing in her. And so just trusting that. And in the meantime, I would say not settling, because I think it's easy. Like say you're, 30 years old and not married yet. And it could be easy to say, well, I'm just going to pick someone, but it's, like we said, it's 24/7. If you're 30 and you're going to be around till you're like 90, that's 60 years of your life, so wait until you find the right one. So don't settle in the hopelessness.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that's funny, that little part of settling. I think that one of the things that I feel like I hate this whole thing of like, do you guys believe in like love at first sight? Like, can we be serious here? Like, that cannot be real.
I don't believe in love at first sight. I think there are rare times when you meet someone and there's a spark, and it's like really, I don't want to say magical, but there's just something special. And there can be times like, oh my gosh, like that person, something about that person I'm just drawn to. It's not love, but there can be a spark.
Yeah.
Even be the Holy Spirit prompting you, because I know people who said, I saw her across the room, and I knew I was going to marry her,
Yeah.
So who knows if that's
Yeah,
the Holy Spirit or they're just had a wild
yeah.
guess or really wanted it.
A
But
wild guess.
but love at first sight, I don't know about
Yeah.
that. So
An emotionally fueled hypothesis. That's what that is.
yeah.
It's hilarious. I love that. But and staying on the topic of like pre-marriage, I think like this. I think right now, so like we're in like a culture of talk, like the talking stage. You guys have heard of that? Like it's like the stage before dating,
Okay.
like and it's one of those things where it's kind of frustrating to me because I feel like that has significantly watered down what relationships should be like before dating. And so that whole thing of dating, I was recently having a conversation with a leader of mine, and he really changed my perspective on this. And he introduced like the concept of courting instead of dating.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like courting is so much more profound. Like I just feel like that the whole thing of dating is just like who everybody just does it now. It's like there's no significance to it. There's no weight to it. Right? And so like what should godly Christ centered courting look like? Not dating, because at this point that's just like I'm not I don't want to just date to date. Like
Right.
that's not productive. Like we're wasting our time here. It's just fun. Like I want to find a partner and a sidekick, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So like, what should that process look like of courting?
Um, I think, well, so Sam and I started out as friends, and that was, I think, very important because I was just new to the Lord, and if I would have like started dating her right away, I'm pretty sure I would have crossed all kinds of boundaries and made all kinds of mistakes, and who I might have ruined it. But I think it's important to, before you jump into something, just to find out if you even like this person, because the very core of marriage is friendship. Like the most important thing in a marriage is that you're friends. And so if you cannot be friends, your marriage is, you're on the wrong foot. And so have that basis of, man, I really like this person. I like hanging out with them. I like just goofing off with them, going to mini golf or sitting home doing nothing.
Yeah,
And so that friendship basis is super, super important because that's everything in a marriage. And so it's really important not to go too fast and skip ahead to friendship. Because if you skip friendship and go into a romantic love and intimacy and stuff, you're going to find out later, oh my gosh, I have nothing in common with this person.
Yeah, it might be skewed from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely. And so like you mentioning like that friend, like do you think that like there are times where because like for me, like I'm just thinking like from my perspective, I think it's from like to be straight up friends with a girl that I think is beautiful, right? And I think of that and I'm just like, okay, well, absolutely, like I think I totally can be friends with this person, but it's like I'm not trying to be friends with this person for too long, right? And it's like for me, that's where I kind of struggle with. Like, yes, that's a beautiful concept, and I love that, and I 100% agree. I just like I think it can be difficult for some people to be able to remove like the novelty of how attractive this person is, and like the future that they're envisioning with this person, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it's like, okay, but we got to slow down and just be friends. Like what can that friendship look like?
Yeah. Well, I think it's just because you don't know. Like, I think part of courting is like, or maybe the friendship part is this someone I even want to, pursue? Like, so you want to see them in the good and in the bad, and you want to see how they handle all these different situations, and so that's part of it. And I think you can never go wrong slowing down. I know, like
Yeah,
you're 24, it might seem like, oh, I gotta hurry, but
yeah,
I think you're not gonna go wrong if you take it slow, but you could go wrong if you try to speed everything up, you know?
definitely.
Yeah, and then at some point, I mean, how many movies have we watched? I don't know, like romantic comedy movies where they're best friends and one of them's afraid to tell the other one how they feel. At some point, you just have to lay your cards on the table and be like, because I don't want to waste the next year of my life waiting for this person to fall in love with me. I'm already in love with them. Just to be honest and be like, hey, I just want you to know that I'm really attracted to you, or I don't know, whatever you would say. But like at some point, it's honesty is the best policy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It could be 2 weeks of friendship, it could be 2 months,
Yeah.
different for everyone.
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's it right there. Like it's different for everyone.
Yes.
And I think part of the issue is, like Mr. David, like you mentioned, is like the Hollywood has really romanticized this whole process,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like our brains are all of a sudden thinking that in this movie that's an hour and a half long,
Yeah.
like all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's gonna be quick and it's gonna be easy. We're gonna meet her on a Tuesday and get married on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like, and
Yeah.
I fall into that trap. Like I'm just like I get frustrated because like, why is there nobody? Like, what is happening? But then I'm just like, it's a process, it's a journey,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so I really love like that's what is different for everyone.
Yeah.
I know that some people, and just like patience is such an important thing in marriage. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I think that's something that can develop in you while you're waiting for your person.
That's right.
And so I think there's a lot of pressure, I think, to get it on the first try.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could hear, and I personally don't agree with that at all. I do think that is that not exactly what courting is for. It's like, yes, we're looking for someone, we're testing and seeing how do they handle themselves, and like just like you said, in certain situations. But I think that there's a lot of pressure, and mostly put on by parents, like the way that they're raised. It's like you have to get it. Like you can only date one person, and that person you got to get married to.
Yeah.
And it's like, this I'm just curious, like what you guys have to say about that.
You want to say that?
Well, I was just gonna say, like you said, your heart isn't to date just to date. So when you're dating someone, I think if you're 2 3 months into it and you realize she's not the one, I think that's a gift.
Yeah.
Because then she's not the one, and so that's part of, like you said, that's part of what courting, I guess you say, courting is
Yep.
about, is making, finding who, if this is the one for me. But you're not gonna like court someone who you can't imagine yourself ever marrying, right?
Absolutely.
That's the
Absolutely.
purpose.
That's what I
Yeah.
was gonna say. I was gonna say if you're dating someone and you know that you're not gonna marry them, you should not keep dating them because
Yeah.
you're just stringing them along. You're keeping both of you guys from meeting
Yeah.
your eventual partner. So if you're
Yeah.
dating someone and you're like, well, I'm just dating him for fun. We're just having fun, but I'm not gonna marry them. You shouldn't be doing that because you're
Yeah.
interfering with like what could be out there elsewhere for you guys, for both of you.
Yeah, I think some
Yeah.
people do that because they don't want to be alone, but
Yeah.
you got to be alone to find the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And like it's so interesting that I've never heard it described as a gift, right? But I love that. And I think a lot of people, it's like difficult to see because let's say that someone has their right heart going into it, and they're like, I'm looking for someone to potentially be my future life partner, and then all of a sudden, like just like you said, they realize in 3 to 4 months that what, there's just too many things that I can't see myself living with 24/7.
Mhm.
They're never leaving the house, like what I mean. They're not going home, like and so and then I think it's very difficult. And honestly, I'm speaking from a place of like, if this happened to me, where I told this person, like, hey, I don't think this is the right direction. I'm sorry, like, I don't think if this is gonna produce any more fruit, I don't see a future with you, right? But then, like, I think it's difficult especially as young people, like, we're very emotionally fueled. What if literally in a matter of 3 weeks we meet someone else? And then all of a sudden we're like, but wait, am I being too emotional about this jumping from person to person? Like that's something that I'm personally like scared of, is like, oh, breaking it off with some person, but then I meet someone else like almost right after, and it's just like, should there be a time of reflection right after?
I think it varies and
Yeah.
it depends. So when I met her, I had a girlfriend. That's why we were forced to be friends. So
Oh,
I had a
okay.
girlfriend when I met her, who was overseas. She had moved back to Scotland, and so yeah, and so I had a choice to make it. So I was like, and I was like, I love Sam. I don't love this other person, but so it's different for everybody. Like you might break up with someone and the next day meet someone. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's just you never know. God works in mysterious ways,
And
So,
your heart is,
Yeah.
your heart isn't just jumping from person to person. You can't help it if 2 weeks later you meet this woman, you're like, oh my gosh, this.
yeah.
So, yeah.
And until you're married, you're not married. And so if you're dating someone, and I know it sounds kind of weird, but if you're dating someone and all of a sudden you meet the woman of your dreams, you gotta make a decision like, all right, like I don't want to marry the wrong person. It's okay. You're not married. It's okay to break up with someone. You're not married. Once you're married, you can't break up with that person. But before you're married, it's
That's why it's so important.
Yeah, you need to you don't want to stay in something that's not right.
If you're loving what you're hearing, make sure you tune in next week to part 2 of the marriage conversation with the Bean family. I know that I learned so much while recording this episode and having this conversation with them and drafting all the questions. It was a great process and I learned so much. There are so many things that you can unpack, take notes on, and apply to your own life in your own walk with Jesus and in your search for your future spouse. Because I know that I've learned so much and I cannot wait to see how the Lord will use the things that I've learned in this conversation and now will only further apply it to my life. So make sure you tune in next week, part 2, the marriage conversation.